So, OpenAI, one of the biggest names in the game, just put out this huge proposal. It's their vision for how we as a society can handle the massive shifts that are coming our way. So, what we're going to do is dive right in and unpack what they're calling the intelligence age. And right off the bat, they kick things off with a pretty bold statement. We're not just talking about slightly smarter chatbots or anything like that. See, the core idea here is that we're right on the edge of creating AI that's not just a little smarter, but that completely blows past human intellect in pretty much every way. This really sets the stage for a kind of change we have never, ever seen before. And, they've even got a name for this new era, the intelligence age. Now, this isn't just a buzzword. It's meant to signal a huge, fundamental shift in the way our world operates, powered not by steam or electricity this time, but by artificial intelligence itself. To really wrap our heads around just how big this is, OpenAI says we need to look back in history to the last time something this massive happened. Don't think of this as just another software update. No. This is a full-on industrial revolution for our time. And this is where it gets really interesting, right? They draw this direct parallel. Think about it. The combustion engine, electricity. They completely changed everything about society, from how we work to where we live. OpenAI is arguing that superintelligence is going to have that exact same kind of massive transformative power. It's the new engine that's going to drive everything forward. But, and this is a really crucial point, that last revolution, it wasn't exactly a smooth ride. It caused huge disruption, and it actually took deliberate political moves, things like the New Deal, to make sure the benefits were shared and that society didn't fall apart. So the argument they're making is that we have to be just as thoughtful and deliberate this time, because just letting it happen created a whole lot of pain the first time around. And that really brings us to the heart of this whole proposal. It's about two sides of the exact same coin, the unbelievable promise of this tech and, well, the incredible danger that comes right along with it. So first up, let's talk about the good stuff, the promise. Look at this list. It's incredibly optimistic. We're talking about everything from speeding up scientific discovery and medical cures to solving gigantic challenges like food shortages and climate change. It's a vision for a future where tech really could lift everybody up. But then you gotta look at the flip side, the peril. We're talking mass job loss, the risk of it being misused by bad actors, even the nightmare scenario of AI systems we just can't control. And then there's the very real danger of wealth and power getting concentrated in even fewer hands. And OpenAI is super clear about this. These risks are not science fiction. They are real, and we have to face them head on. So, if you take away one thing, it's this. Their central argument is that we absolutely cannot just sit back and let the market sort this out on its own. Now, for a major tech company to say that, that's a pretty big deal. It really tells you how different they think this whole thing is.
Okay, so what's the plan then? Well, their proposal is basically built on two main pillars. Let's dig into the first one, which is all about spreading the wealth, making sure everyone gets a piece of the pie from these incredible economic gains.
All right, one of the most tangible ideas they put on the table is this thing called a public wealth fund. The idea is to basically give every single person a direct financial stake in this AI revolution. It's a really bold idea, kind of like universal basic equity. Of course, the big question, the multi-trillion-dollar question, is how do you actually do that? How do you build and run a fund like this so it's fair, transparent, and actually works for everyone? Okay, now here's a question that I think hits a little closer to home for all of us. You always hear that AI is going to make us more productive, right? But what does that really mean for you and me, for our day-to-day lives? Well, OpenAI has a name for the answer: efficiency dividends. The whole idea is pretty simple, really. As AI starts handling the boring, routine stuff and makes businesses way more efficient, those gains shouldn't just pad the corporate bottom line. The key is turning that new productivity into real benefits for workers. We're talking about things like a 4-day work week without losing any pay. Now, that's a shift from AI as just a way to cut costs to AI as a way to improve our quality of life. And that's not all. The proposal is just packed with other big ideas for building this open economy. You can see them here. Everything from a basic right to AI, kind of like the right to literacy or electricity, to rethinking our tax system and giving workers a real say in how this tech gets rolled out. It's a huge vision for a more inclusive economy. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the second pillar. Because, look, it's not enough to just share the money. We have to deal with those massive risks we mentioned earlier. This whole part is about building a society that's tough enough to handle the immense power of superintelligence. And they frame the problem with a pretty chilling question.
What do you do when a super powerful AI goes rogue? Or what if it falls into the wrong hands? Seriously, what's the game plan? And that's where this idea of model containment playbooks comes into play. I want you to think of it like a disaster plan, but for a technology that you can't just, pull the plug on. It's a sobering thought, but a practical one. But the real question, the tough one, is who writes these playbooks and who gets to decide when it's time to use them. It really points to a need for some kind of new global teamwork. This next idea really shows their layered approach to safety. They call it an AI trust stack, and it's all about building accountability right into the system, from the ground up. But listen, this isn't just about code and servers. It's a social solution too. To build trust, you need more than just cool tools. You need everyone to agree on the rules and who's in charge of enforcing them, and that's where the real hard work is going to be. And just like before, they've got a whole toolbox of other ideas for building up that resilience. You can see it here. It's everything from creating a whole market for independent AI auditors, all the way to setting up international agreements so countries can share information about potential risks. It's a full court press on safety. So what happens next? Well, OpenAI is super clear about one thing. This paper, it's not the final answer. It's not a list of demands. Think of it more like the starting pistol for a massive global conversation that we all need to have. And they're not just talking the talk, they're actually putting their resources where their mouth is. They're actively asking for feedback, they're funding new research with grants and fellowships, and they're getting people together to really wrestle with these huge questions. Which, brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. Look, this isn't just a conversation for tech CEOs or politicians. This shift to the intelligence age is going to touch every single one of us. The conversation has already started. So the real question is, what part are you going to play in shaping what comes next?